The departure of Caitlin Clark from the "Don't worry, she hasn't played in the WNBA" truly went, but suppose for a moment, second best young player in the league. What type of one-woman phenomenon? The WNBA's crossover superstar has never observed prior to the Wheelers' discovery from. If you're a Caitlin, poof, disappeared overnight. That concept probably makes a fan tremble down your back, but regrettably you receive the feel that some people in the WNBA sphere. Perhaps there will be a sigh of relief. Perhaps even a small victory fist pump. Why? In spite of all the quantifiable, Caitlin's enthusiasm and riches brought. The jealousy surrounding her in the league has been incredible, and Caitlin will be too. Clark will undoubtedly be a good professional. When Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA, she did what she's doing immediately now. Definitely. Some gamers won't experience this, and members of the media have done everything they is able to pull her down even while it's obviously not what's best for them. The persistent allegations are the most repulsive aspect. That she is receiving preferential treatment since she is white.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
They refuse to claim that it's her gift or charming. No, it must be her skin. We've heard the word color everywhere.
Will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not.
Suppose you set up a college. Your league's scoring records place it on your back, turned into a woman's hoops face. To learn that your hype is simply based on your pigment. So to individuals who believe Caitlin is being treated unfairly, since her fanfare is unwarranted, let's play. What if Caitlin Clark is a small game, actually left just for fun? So let's. At a news conference, she reportedly stated, "I'm leaving. I've had enough and don't require this." How would the WNBA fare? Hold on tight tomorrow, next month, and next year. Then get your popcorn, since the consequences would be disastrous for the league. Caitlin's departure would actually be far more detrimental to the WNBA than if she had never performed, but I intend to describe why. You have seen those YouTube videos. Footage of a comet striking Earth, and they provide a detailed account of this is going to be like the end of the world. However, there was a terrible twist in the end. Hey, before we plunge in, let's get started. Deeper smash than the button, and for more hot Caitlin Clark content, subscribe. Observations and WNBA analysis.
Stephen A. Smith delivers the goods here. Apparently, all the accolades that Caitlin Clark is receiving is because she's white, and the jealous players who are attacking her are really the real victims here.
First and foremost, we must recognize how good we now have it with Caitlin. The WNBA has been the league's incredibly spoilt in the last 12 months. Sold-out stadia that had previously had trouble filling even half of their seats. Headline-grabbing TV ratings, and a level of widespread rumors that women's basketball is rarely liked, and that is due to a 22-year-old who has the ability to up from 30 feet and make a shot that looks like. Caitlin arrived for a casual free throw, entering the WNBA, and was immediately changed. The atmosphere created by this rise in popularity provided players with fresh chances, and a healthy dosage of self-assurance is what NBA players are. Suddenly discussing leverage and strategizing. They're on the threshold of negotiating a new collective contract or CBA, and they're feeling brave and even making references to topics like, if we don't get what we want, we might strike. Desire.
Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America.
What it is racism, right? It gets blown up into, oh, they're going after Caitlin Clark, but no, we're just playing one of the best players that's in this league the way that any other best player, franchise player is going to get played.
Why couldn't they have put the whole WNBA on that cover and said the WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have? Because when you just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings. And so now you're starting to hear stories of racism.
The players are aware of the league is flourishing, and although many people in the league is appreciative that there is a portion of players who are speaking and fans media, they adore the growth with forked tongues. However, they're not thrilled that it's. I gave Caitlin, the driver, some of the complaints about her alleged privilege, the notion that supporters only applaud her due to her appearance or color. Those are not from ancient history. Rather, they show a genuine vibe among some people at the moment.
Now, the WNBA cashing in on its recent surge in popularity, scoring a media rights deal worth more than $2 billion.
Circles. In opposition to, on a 3, Connecticut. Let's fulfill the haters' request then. Let's take Caitlin out of the picture. What happens the first time she leaves? What would occur with TV viewership? Would cause television viewers to collapse. Erratic on a good day, and a significant amount of. Many individuals have been watching, particularly for Caitlin, the elegance and TV's drawback is how simple it is to turn. Off in contrast to a TV ticket you purchased, it is possible to stop broadcasting in a heartbeat in the absence of enthusiasm, as well as if Caitlin Clark leaves a sizable of the thrill departs with her. Don't. I think we should put this in perspective. When Caitlin was a rookie, she was an Indiana Fever magnet with absolute ratings. The average number of games was 1.19 million. Viewers who played games without. Caitlin's average was approximately 394,000, attracting over 3 times as many people. Of other games, in fact, practically all. One WNBA game that was able to crack the. She was highlighted in the million viewer mark. Are crazy splits that no player in. That kind of influence exists in all major sports. Excessive viewership, not Brady or LeBron. That was done in her by Caitlin freaking Clark. First year, take her out of the. What happens to them million plus? The crowd swoon on a Friday evening. ESPN2's Fever game that may have. With Caitlin, the 1.22 million might drop to around 300,000 to 400,000. Without her, things are essentially the same. Baseline, we would see scathing headlines such as WNBA ratings fall by 50% in a single day. Her magic season wasn't long enough to turn all of those casual beginners into devoted WNBA viewers who won't. Whatever they did to get her, and if they're gone too, but she's not. Now let's examine some genuine figures from the previous year following last season's playoff exit for Caitlin Clark. There were several hopeful headlines that, even so, the WNBA finals stopped millions of views, with the message being no issue, Caitlin. The league and its defenders wanted to demonstrate that they weren't reliant on a single girl, but what they conveniently omitted earlier. Caitlin's second game in those playoffs, series versus Connecticut in the first round, attracted the most viewers, 2.5 million. Cable viewership in the history of the WNBA. By the way, there isn't another game in the remaining. Even the playoffs approached that figure. Yes, the finals performed fairly well, but they pallid in contrast to Caitlin's presence provided and take into account the experiment that we observed during the offseason. 3 Henry's new showcase league is named Unmatched, with numerous WNBA stars in. During the winter, it had nearly all the well-known figures, with the exception of Caitlin. Didn't take part in every account. Unmatched was unable to secure a significant. Certain games had trouble attracting enough interest. 100,000 people watched live, and it was awesome idea, but there was no viewership. Not to write home about once more Caitlin. Casuals time, as well as for fans who still pay attention or come in, they'd observe another significant change. Let's talk about attendance in half-empty stadia. The effect of Caitlin on seat bottoms was equally dramatic as her television influence on the Fever established a league and a franchise. Attendance record from the previous year with more than a total of 340,000 fans crammed inside. Throughout the season, Gainbridge Fieldhouse too. Consider that the previous year, when Caitlin got there, the Fever averaged only 4,000 or so people each home game in 2024. They averaged more, over 17,000 with Caitlin. That is the largest jump at 319%. The league has witnessed their transition from last in line to be the first by a mile, and Indy wasn't the only one who Fever traveled with. Every other team witnessed a huge increase in those games. Many Caitlin was actually moved by home teams games to bigger venues in order to. The Washington Demand example. The home game of the Mystics was shifted against Indiana to Capital One Arena in the NBA, and the largest crowd of fans was 20,711 people. For background on WNBA history, the Mystics typically only has 4,200 seats in an arena. In summary, one investigation discovered that when the home teams drew while the Fever was away, roughly 88% more admirers than they typically have, essentially almost double for other games, simply because of Caitlin's presence in town. The consequence of Caitlin Clark was the worst-kept secret in the sports industry. Teams took advantage of it. Several WNBA teams have previously declared that some games would be moved to larger venues or making other improvements to arenas for 2025, specifically looking forward to her drawing power. Some teams even used deceit to the Minnesota Lynx ticketing strategies. For example, understood everyone and their mom wants to see Caitlin in Minneapolis. Consequently, they bundled the fans must watch the Fever game individually in order to purchase an expensive half-season package nearby. $850 only to have the option to purchase a. Capitalism is the ticket to the Clark game. Caitlin's and Baby's capacity to sell tickets are a source of revenue that teams weren't hesitant to milk her. Now picture her gone. Consider all of the individuals who circled the schedule for Caitlin's visit town with all those exclusive ticket deals, those one-time large arena enhancements, events to make room for her. You would be left with thousands of fans spending money, large sums of money months in advance, with the hope that observe her unexpectedly stranded with tickets to, with all due respect, a game that other athletes that they no longer give a damn about. There would be an abundance of resale tickets on the day she says goodbye to StubHub is announced, and we most likely wouldn't get any shows. The disgraceful appearance of vacant chairs. The crowded venues were crowded and rocking would see the bright side of things, or quieter corridors if Caitlin didn't come back the next season, and teams could no longer use her celebrity to her advantage. To pre-sell the WNBA ticket bundles would serve as a sharp reminder of what silence in certain markets, arenas seem to be. In comparison, a veteran would be cruel. A sports reporter who was present at a Fever, the scene and location were mentioned in the road game, was blown away as Clark emptied a deep.
You saw it with the viewership in the WNBA last year, with Unrivaled this year. Like, people are tuning in. And so I think we're in a really great position where we have all the leverage as players right now. We have the most leverage we've ever had as WNBA players, and we have to use it to our advantage. Like, the time for change is right now. And so we